Welcome to Interesting to See, your daily sports podcast, news, narratives, takes, and gambling about sports and sports ball and all things sports related and kind of sports related. We have some chess news today that we're going to talk about. It's my podcast, so we're talking about chess. Also, some NFL broadcasting news and some NFL news, of course. But we're going to start with murder. No clip today to open the show. There's not a technical issue. There's just no clip. I'm not going to do a clip. Like, rate, review, subscribe. If you like the show, force your friends and family to listen to it or observe it on YouTube. Observe it. You like that? Observe it. Yeah, I think I'm going to continue to do this show for at least another 3 months, maybe as much as another 18 months. We'll see how much traction it has. So, yeah, go on Apple, give it 5 stars. Go on Spotify, give it 5 stars if you like it and you want it to continue indefinitely. But let's get to the effing news, man. So we got a big story, kind of a big story. It's not a big story. It is closure on a story that sucked, and that is that Lorenzen Wright was murdered. He was a star basketball player for the University of Memphis in the mid-'90s. Memphis, they're kind of back a little. They didn't win. Who were they playing? Gonzaga. They almost won that national championship with Derrick Rose, and they had one of the best recruits in the country. They're a very good basketball program. Well, Lorenzen Wright played for Memphis. He then played in the NBA for a long time. He was in the NBA for 13 seasons and retired in 2009. In 2010, Lorenzen Wright was murdered. There's a murder investigation. This is courtesy of Yahoo Sports. And I'll just read this portions of this to you. It was found in East Memphis. And so those of you that don't know, Memphis is it's a big city from a population standpoint, but a lot of it has to do with there's no real metropolitan area. It's not like an East Coast city, and this is true for all Midwest cities except Chicago. Because there's so much land, and all Rocky Mountain cities are like this as well for the most part, because there's so much land, you can get pockets of things. Like West Memphis is actually in the state of Arkansas. It's a really rough town. East Memphis is rough, but then there are parts of East Memphis, like Germantown, that are just incredibly gorgeous and really rich people. And there's a lot of like racism with interstate systems and things, and it's really kind of crazy. He was found in East Memphis. He was reported missing. So if the case was cold for 7 years, and you can see this right here, Shira Wright, his ex-wife, was implicated, and then she was arrested on first-degree murder. She had a $1 million life insurance settlement for 14 months after Wright's death, and so I don't know if they just didn't have enough on her to suspect her right away, but that's a ton of money. He played in the NBA for a long time, and it makes a ton of sense that she would, have motive. She was charged with it's a really crazy story. She was charged with pulling the trigger in Wright's murder in a conspiracy alongside with Shira Wright, who is this other person, Turner. Who's Turner? Anybody. There was a conspiracy to murder this person, this Lorenzen Wright person, and family talked. They started looking into it as a conspiracy to get the life insurance money. And, yeah, Billy Ray Turner, first-degree murder, 60 years in prison. So kind of a conclusion on a story that not a lot of people talked about. Is really crazy. This would be a good episode of like Crime Junkie or Dateline or something. Really bananas story of Lorenzen Wright. All right, let's move on to some sports news that doesn't suck. Actually, let's do one more story that sucks, and then we'll move on to stuff that doesn't suck. Sergei Karyakin is a chess player from the former Soviet Union and Russia. I think he's mostly Russian. I don't know if he was alive during the Soviet Union, but he's a Russian person. And so he had some tweets that supported Russia's invasion of Ukraine and very much along with like Kremlin thinking and Vladimir Putin's thinking. And he has subsequently been banned from competing in international chess events, including something called the Candidates. And if you don't know what the Candidates is the tournament. It's the qualifier to challenge the world champion. The world champion is on the king of the hill, and then they round up the best 8 chess players in the world, and they make them play each other, and the winner of that tournament gets to play the champion, gets to play the king of the hill. Karyakin has been a champion? He was the youngest grandmaster for a long time. Now I think he's the 3rd youngest grandmaster of all time. He's incredibly good. He's one of the best 5 to 10 players on the planet Earth, and The reason that this is important is because the candidates tournament is coming up, and he's going to go. And he was very often considered a favorite to challenge. He's played in the or the World Championships before, and the reason that this is most important is that Russia cares a lot about chess. They really use chess as a spring. It's something that they're very proud of. You can go back and look at the history of world chess champions. Most of them are Soviets. Like the greatest players of all time are Soviets. 2 of the 3 greatest players of all time are Soviets, including the greatest player of all time. Karyakin is one of the greatest players of all time. Like they love chess, and banning them from this is something that they take great pride in. Not the most recent tournament notwithstanding. The most recent World Championships had the Norwegian god of chess who won versus another Russian, this guy named Ian, and Nepo is a really cool nickname. But he came out against the Kremlin. He came out against Putin, and it's one thing to have an opinion. It's another thing to be so aggressive. So, similar to Alexander Ovechkin for the Capitals, it's unclear if the support is genuine or if the support is just, guys, I don't care about this, or if the support is, guys, they're going to kill my family. So this is the tweets that he sent off most recently, because he had been tweeting about this aggressively, and then people got really angry with him, and then he got banned. So he's just continuing his support of Russia. I guess we can bring up the tweet. Let's do it for those of you on YouTube. This story is courtesy of the Washington Post, but I'm on chess Twitter like a nerd, so here we go. Here's a tweet thread. Many people ask if I regret my public support of the special operation. After all, I have already lost invitations to Western tournaments and may lose an invitation to the candidates tournament. My answer is simple. I am on the side of Russia and my president. No matter what happens, I will support my country in any situation without thinking for a second. That seems like it was written by the Kremlin to me. But regardless, more moves against Russia, and I think this one is going to be more offensive than the Special Olympians. Just they really care about that. Okay, NFL news. Matt Ryan, 15 years with the Atlanta Falcons. He won the MVP in 2015, and he has been traded from the Atlanta Falcons to the Indianapolis Colts for a 3rd-round pick. Oh, my God. That's not a lot. The Detroit Lions look like geniuses right now for how much they got for Stafford. And Kyle Shanahan, 3 first-rounders for Trey Lance. Crazy. But Matt Ryan is now a Colt. It makes sense. Everybody knew it was going to happen. His deal is crazy. It's a $40 million cap hit. The Falcons are tank to tank to tanky tank. They are tanking. There is what appears to be a super prospect coming out in the 2023 NFL draft. So if you suck this year, suck for CJ Stroud of Ohio State. They signed, the Falcons did, they signed Marcus Mariota to a 2-year deal for whatever it takes for a backup to be your starter to just get through the season. It's about $19 million. Marcus Mariota has lost a lot of time due to injury. He's got nerve damage in his elbow, and also he's got concussion issues, which suck, man. I hate when guys have concussion issues, but it's a bad situation for his injury health. So, but he's just the best guy. He's the greatest guy ever, man. People love him. And if you could pick a teammate, ride or die teammate on any level of sports, Marcus Mariota would be like one of the guys you want on your team, which what a great dude and hard worker. In my opinion, he often slept on as the greatest college quarterback of all time. Pretty clearly to me, he's the greatest college quarterback of all time. That's just my hot take. People forget about him. There's no team at any point in the history of college football that is better off with the player that they had than Marcus Mariota. None. Not the Cam Newton teams, not the Tebow teams, none. There's never been a team in the history of college football that is better off with the guy that they had than Mariota. Not LSU, none of them. He's the best college quarterback of all time. I'll take that opinion to my grave, yo. Plenty of NFL news still going on. Until the dust settles, we're just going to kind of keep moving this along. I forget what we've covered and what we haven't covered just because there's so much crap going on. I mean, the Eagles cut Fletcher Cox and then they re-signed him, just like a bunch of junk. So when the dust settles and we get to couple more big signings, we'll take a look at exactly what happened, and we'll take a look at how this impacted odds. So let's get into the gambling portion of this for the NFL. If you're going to do early stuff, this is a great time to do early futures because things are going to move pre-draft, post-draft. Perhaps still a couple moves. The Indianapolis Colts odds went way up when they got rid of Carson Wentz, and they continue to go up when they got Matt Ryan, though not that much. The Indianapolis Colts are plus 2,400 to win the Super Bowl. You can see right there. I'm going to play with YouTube. Wait, why is it so zoomed in? Wait, one more. There we go. Look at YouTube. Look what I can do. How much fun is that? Other interesting moves that got people up and down. Tampa's all the way back up at plus 700. The books Some books knew something, some books didn't know something. They got took. Green Bay Packers, they're not going to have Devontae Adams or Zadarius Smith. They have gone from the second favorite to the fourth favorite. I wish I could bet against some of these people winning the Super Bowl. The Broncos were in the middle, then they were at the bottom, and now they're right up there with the Cowboys at plus 1,500. You see that right there. I like that. Okay, so how does any of this impact the NFL draft? Well, let's take a look. Aiden Hutchinson has gone from the second favorite to the super de-duper favorite. Minus 420 means Vegas thinks it's a lock. At that value, literally bet anybody else. Based on the guy that Doug Peterson is, Aiden Hutchinson is going to seem like the obvious choice for a lot of guys, but just living in Philly for a couple of years, I think this Kayvon Thibodeau from Oregon might be a guy you might want to pay attention to. Doug Peterson likes to be a know-it-all, but Trent Baalke's also a weirdo, so they like to take guys that are injured. They could take a receiver. I mean, it's entirely possible that they could end up taking this receiver first overall. It's a weird brain trust. First quarterback, or the number 2 pick, to me, as a Lions fan, I'm paying close attention, quarterback or Kyle Hamilton. Malik Willis right now is the odds-on favorite with Kyle Hamilton. These are the ones, followed by Trayvon Walker. See, this Aiden Hutchinson pick, it used to be the favorite to be the number 2 overall pick, but the Lions, they're just so certain he's going to go number 1 overall that's where he is. I think that the number 2 overall pick is going to be Matt Corral at plus 10,000. Oh, my God, it's plus 10,000. I will be betting on that today. Okay, let's move into the NHL Trade Deadline. The NHL Trade Deadline was yesterday. Some huge names on the move, led, of course, by the former 3-time Stanley Cup champion Marc-Andre Fleury of the Penguins and the Knights. He was with the Blackhawks this year. Look how cool his pads are, by the way. Look at that. I love that. He is going to finish up probably his career with the Minnesota Wild. I've been talking about the Wild all season. If you're going to bet, that's a great bet. I love the Wild. Their odds are worse now because of the trade, of course. So let's just go through some of these. Okay, the Carolina Hurricanes acquired Max Domi. Oh, I missed that one. Max Domi, of course, of the London Knights. Then he was drafted by Arizona or Columbus. He's been all over the place. Montreal. They got him from... Yeah, so he was with Columbus most recently. So Domi is going to the Hurricanes. The Seattle Kraken. The Kraken got Victor Rask from Minnesota Wild and for future considerations. That's interesting. So they had to. Okay, so Minnesota, to take on new additions, they had to dump this guy. So that's what they did. The Senators got Michael McNiven from the Calgary Flames. They did that to make room for somebody. Who did they do that for? Ryan Carpenter from the Chicago Blackhawks, who are tanking. The Rangers get Taylor Mott. That's not a big name. Detroit moved a lot of people yesterday. Vladislav Nemesnikov, who's a B-plus player for the Red Wings, not going to be a big part of their future. They traded for a 4th-round pick. Let's get to any of the famous people. Okay, so I think the Penguins might be the ones that win the Stanley Cup. They get this guy, Rickard Rakell from Anaheim. The Penguins are going all in this year. The Kings, they get some guys from Winnipeg. Anything? I'm just looking for these famous names just for you guys. Oh, yeah, this is a big one. Andrew Cogliano from the San Jose Sharks. That's a big one. For the Colorado Avalanche are going all in. I think Colorado, I don't know if they're going to win the Stanley Cup in a weird way. My weird criticism of them, are they too good? Are they too good? They're so good. Look at all these movies. Lehkonen from the Canadiens, like insane trade deadline. The real winners were the teams that are going all in, and the Detroit Red Wings, who got a lot for a little. Steve Yzerman, as the GM of the Detroit Red Wings, is really good at just waiting to the last minute and just fleecing the shit out of these teams. They're so desperate to make a move and appease their fan base and like show that they're trying to win that they just do dumb shit, and it works out. NFL Combine, Kenny Pickett, 8.5-inch hands, and then he measured them at his pro day, and get this, his numbers were better at his pro day. That's crazy that at the University of Pittsburgh, the best player that they've had in decades had a better measurement. That's wild. I can't believe that. Color me shocked. I can't. What an amazing, the Combine, with all of those neutral people must have fucked up. Kenny Pickett's hands are actually 1/8 of an inch bigger, still making them by far the smallest hands in the NFL among starting quarterbacks, if you were there. Now, the only people that are close are Taysom Hill, whose hands are a little smaller, or a little bigger, and then these guys this is good company. Brandon Allen and Jake Fromm have the smaller hands. Jared Goff has small hands for a starter, and they're still considerably bigger than Kenny Pickett's. Wow, Kenny Pickett, that's incredible. The Combine must have screwed you, man. I can't possibly believe that. I can't possibly, for the life of me, imagine that his hands are bigger at the place where he almost won the Heisman Trophy. That's just bananas. We'll continue March Madness analysis tomorrow. We're going to get out of here on this. Al Michaels has been suspected for a long time. it is now news. The New York Post has the greatest media coverage for sports. Al Michaels is going to Amazon for, quote, Joe Buck money. It's been rumored for a long time. They've been hammering out this contract. Al Michaels is headed to Amazon to do Thursday night football. Thursday night football is becoming my favorite primetime game of the week, and I'll tell you why, because I like going out on Thursdays. I'm becoming an old man. I can't do Monday night football and Sunday night football anymore. It's a work day. I live on the East Coast. It's a disaster. Like, rate, review, subscribe. We'll be back and better than ever tomorrow morning.